Dear students, hope you all are keeping good health. The only remedy to protect yourself from COVID 19 is to stay at home. So stay at home and be safe. Myself, Dr. Fatima Sultana, Associate Professor in Department of Zoology, JDB Government Girls College, Kota. Today I am going to take the topic ecosystem and its components. What is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is a community of living things that interact with each other and with the physical world. Total living and non-living components of the environment present in particular area create an ecosystem. So in any ecosystem, communities or living organisms interact with their physical environment in such a way that there is a well-defined flow of energy, forming clear trophic levels and material cycles within this ecosystem. The term ecosystem was coined by A.G. Tansley. Ecosystem is normally an open system because there is a continuous and variable entry and loss of energy and materials. The plants and animals within each ecosystem interact with each other and the non living elements of the ecosystem, like climate, precipitation, and soil. As I have told you, all the living, that is, total living as well as the non living components of the environment present in any particular area, create an ecosystem. An ecosystem can be very small, such as puddle or under a rock. That is, if you lift a log and you see some microorganisms, microbes, or some small insects, caterpillars, or earthworm, it all forms a small ecosystem over there. And it can also be as big as an ocean or a desert. The balance of an ecosystem is important. All things must work together to provide a good living environment. For example, if there is not enough water, plants and animals will die and the ecosystem will not exist. So, ecosystem is a dynamic system because continuous interaction is going on in between abiotic and biotic components. So, ecosystem is present in equilibrium position. Ecosystem also maintains and it is a self regulatory system. It means an ecosystem maintains a balance in between different trophic levels. If any change takes place in any trophic level of this ecosystem, the other trophic level of this ecosystem may react according to it. And therefore, the ecosystem always remains in equilibrium. And this feature is also known as homeostasis. As I have given you the example that if there is no water, the plants and animal will die. Similarly, if there is no oxygen, animals will die. So, any one trophic level will be missing or there is some deficiency or some limiting factor, then it will definitely affect the other trophic level. Therefore, in an ecosystem, there should be a balance and it is a self regulatory and it is maintained in an equilibrium. That is, equilibrium is maintained in any healthy ecosystem. Examples of ecosystem. It can be desert, Arctic tundra, rainforest, ocean, African savanna, swamps. As I have told you, it can be as small as a ecosystem under a rock piece or a log, rotten log, or as large as ocean or desert. In an ecosystem, as I have told you, there are biotic as well as abiotic factors. Among the biotic factors, producers come. A living thing that can make its own food. That is, any living organism which can do photosynthesis and make its own food. Make its own food doesn't mean that we cook food with our hands. No. Actually, what happens in the photosynthesis, the sunlight is trapped with the help of the chlorophyll and carbon dioxide to make the nutrients. And this can only be done by the green plants because they contain that green pigment chlorophyll. Therefore, examples are plants, trees, and flowers. Consumers, a living thing that gets its food from eating other living things. Anything, any animal, any organism which feeds on the producers. And these consumers can again be divided into primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary consumers will be those animals which will be feeding on the plants producers that. So they are also known as herbivores. And the animals which feed on these herbivores are known as the secondary consumers. So they will be known as carnivores. These may be small carnivores or medium sized mammals, animals which feed on the herbivores. There's another link which feeds on these carnivores. That will be known as the tertiary consumers, and they are the top consumers. Now, examples of consumers are polar bear eating a fish, a bird eating a berry, or a zebra eating grass, or a deer eating grass. And suppose rabbit eats grass, and that rabbit is eaten by some wolf or fox, and that animal is again eaten by a lion or tiger. So, the lion and tiger will be known as the top consumer. Decomposers, a living thing that breaks down other living things to get nutrients and energy. Now, whatever is living, it has to die. And where does that component go? They get dissolved in the soil, and in the soil are present the decomposers. Or there are animals like vulture which feed on the dead animals. They are also known as scavengers. When they decompose, for example, this earthworm in the soil, it decomposes the dead leaves or any other component which is in the soil. It breaks into small nutrients so that it can again be available to the plants, and the plants in turn, forming the producers, can produce food and provide to the next primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. This is also known as food chain. As I have told you that the deer feeds on the grass, and in turn the deer is eaten by the lion. That is one food chain. Similarly, in this case, you can see that the grass is being eaten by the grasshopper, which comes under the primary consumer. And this grasshopper is eaten by the bluebird. It is coming under the category secondary consumer. This bird is eaten by the snake. That is, the snake feeds on the bluebird. So the snake is the predator and bluebird is the prey of that predator. This snake is again eaten by the owl. So this whole link forms one food chain. So the apex of this food chain is owl. And when this owl dies, or even in between snake, birds, any animal can die, they will be decomposed by the decomposers, and the nutrients will be available again to the producers. So it is a cycle form in which the energy is flowing from one trophic level to the other trophic level, and the equilibrium is maintained in the ecosystem. So what does food chain means? It shows what eats what in an ecosystem. In an ecosystem, which predator will eat, which animal will be the prey and which will be the predator. In this again you can see that the grass is eaten by the herbivores, which are deer in this picture, and these deer are eaten by the lion. That is, they are the prey of the predator lion. So this will be known as the food chain. The next example, plant which is being eaten by the insect. The insect is eaten by the mouse, and the mouse is again eaten by the owl. This is again a second example of food chain, but it is not necessary that every food chain will be in a linear fashion, because each and every animal doesn't feed only on one type of food. It can eat anything which comes in the ecosystem, and this is known as the food web. A food web consists of all the food chains within a particular ecosystem. Now, in this case, as we can see, that the producers are the flowering plants of the small trees or big trees, which are being eaten by the herbivores. In this case, you can see the rabbit and the mouse, goat, they are feeding on the green producers, and these are eaten either by the snake or by the wolf or by jackal. And this again, the top predators we can see that eagle and hawk and lion will feed on the various type. It can either eat the wolf or the jackal or goat. So we see that there are many food chains coming out from this producer level to the tertiary consumers, and this is known as the food web. There are simple terminologies which come in this ecosystem. Population: a group of living things that live in the same place at the same time will be known as a population. Here, as we can see, number of elephants are present, and these elephants are present in a herd. So we'll say that the population of elephants are present in this African savanna, or you can say in the Kerala state. There are number of elephant, and they have a good population of elephant. Similarly, many penguins live in the Arctic. So, any group of living things that live in the same place at same time will be known as population. Community: when different populations live together in same habitat and interact with each other. In an ecosystem, as I have told you, that many biotic factors as well as the abiotic factors are present. So, in what comes under the biotic factors? All the living organisms. So, it is not necessary that only one type of population will be present in that particular habitat. The habitat can be shared among many populations, and that is known as community. For example, in this picture, you can see the herd of zebra, giraffe, and this herbivores, birds, all are sharing the abiotic factor, that is the pond or lake, which we can see, the terrestrial land, the trees, etc. So, this is known as the community in an ecosystem. Biotic factors: any living organisms in an ecosystem is known as biotic factors. Living means biotic. Biotic factors are the living components of an ecosystem and are sorted into three groups, as I have earlier told you: producers, which are also known as autotrophs, consumers or heterotrophs, and decomposers. These all form the biotic factors in an ecosystem. Here we can see owl, deer, mouse, grass, earthworm. In this landscape, we can see that grass as the producers. That is, the grass in this landscape are the producers which can produce their own food by trapping the energy of sunlight in the presence of chlorophyll and carbon dioxide. This grass is eaten up by mouse, deer, and this is again eaten up by the owl. So these all comes under the heterotrophs. Now, whenever there is a dead material, the earthworm in this figure, in this picture can be seen, which is acting as the decomposer. Or microorganisms which are present in the soil, they decompose that organic material so that it can be available to the producers in the form of nitrates or the simple inorganic matter. Now, what are the characteristics of biotic factors? As I have told you, all living organisms. So, what are living organisms? They are made of cells, consist of levels of organization, that is cellular, tissue level, organ system. So, whatever organism which is made of cells, it comes under the biotic factor. They respond and adapt to their environment. As we can feel, heat. As soon as the temperature rises, we say that it's very hot today. So we can respond similarly, all the living things, they can respond and adapt to their environment. Grow and develop. Every living organism will grow and develop. It will reproduce. That is, it produces offsprings that are similar to the parents. They use energy. Producers, they can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. But as we know that all living organisms, there is a process which is known as metabolism, catabolism and anabolism, in which chemical reactions undergo so that either the food is formed or it is broken up. For example, proteins are broken up into amino acids and fats are broken up into fatty acids, carbohydrates and glucose in the simpler form so that the body can absorb it easily. Movement within a cell to maintain homeostasis. As I have told you that in an ecosystem, every time an equilibrium is maintained and it is a self-regulatory system which is known as homeostasis. Abiotic factors. These are the non-living components of the ecosystem. Wind, sunlight, soil, temperature, atmosphere, water, all physical factors, they all come under the abiotic factors. Biotic factors versus abiotic factor. That is the living as well as the non-living. Plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, these all come under the living system. And water, sunlight, soil, air, temperature, these all come under the category of non-living, that is the abiotic factors. Now, what is the relationship between biotic and abiotic factors? Do they exist individually? No, never. They both interact with each other, rather, they influence each other. Biotic and abiotic factors influence each other. For example, the temperature of water will affect the survival of coral. Fish excrete nitrogen waste into pond, increasing nitrate levels. These nitrate levels again help the producers. So we see that the biotic factors and abiotic factors, they influence one another. I want to give you one very interesting example that the abiotic factor, that is temperature, it determines the sex in somewhat sorry most of the reptiles. Most of the reptiles, the genes are not responsible for the sex, that is whether the hatchling will be male or female. It is rather determined by temperature. So whether the temperature is high or the temperature is low, that determines the sex. For example, in this slide I have shown you the hatchling of ghadial. In case of ghadial, which comes under the under reptiles, in this what happens that whenever there is a raise in temperature, the percentage of males will be higher. That is, the hatchlings which comes out from the eggs, they will be in higher number. That is, males will be in higher number. So what happens? You all know that if the ratio of male and female sex will not be maintained, it's definite that that organism will go for extinction. So to survive, to make itself to survive or exist in an ecosystem, the ratio of male and the females have to be maintained. So generally what we see that the crocodiles and gharials, they keep on covering the eggs either with the sand or sometimes they will be removing the sand. So doing this is one of the behavior, their sexual behavior, that how they are maintaining the temperature of those eggs during the period of incubation, so that the temperature can be maintained during the incubation period and the ratio of male and female can be maintained. So what we see that biotic and abiotic factors, they influence one another, and we can say that biotic factors have to rely on abiotic factors to survive. Without abiotic factors, the physical interaction of the climate, we all know that the changing climate is affecting all the biotic factors. The natural disaster which we are seeing, that is because of this global warming, the changing climate. So for an ecosystem to be healthy, there should be an equilibrium in that system. The biotic as well as the abiotic factors have to maintain an equilibrium, and they both interact with each other and influence each other. Thank you so much. Hope you all could understand. I have explained in a very simple manner. Please subscribe our channel CCE RAJ JDB GGC Kota. Thank you.